Some might say the Bonaire's best views are underwater, but we're here to tell you that there's a whole island here, and what an island it is. Okay, come with us today. We're going to go around the island, and I guarantee there's things that you never thought were here. Olga lived here as a child, and it's not just memory lane, but she definitely adds a flavor to all the sights and the history.
You know, besides that I grew up here, and of course that gives an emotional tag and an attachment, if you're here new, you would have to see all the variety that this island offers, like flamingos by the side of the road. Where do you see that, you know? Donkeys everywhere that are super friendly. Turquoise waters, you can get in the water and swim or scuba or snorkel, whatever you do, anywhere. Except, of course, where it's too rough, which is the other side. But on that particular spot, there are Indian inscriptions from the original Indians that were here. So yeah, it's a great deal of variety, and it's still quite relaxed.
Since it's my first time to Bonaire, all this is new to me. Like Olga just said, if you're new to Bonaire. And I was amazed as we left the established town and drove along the shoreline here. Divi trees, giant cactus, iguanas, the color of the water when it opens like that turquoise. The water has a soft translucence, and yet it's crystal clear, and you see the play of the shades of turquoise and aqua, and where it gets deeper, almost purple. And then limestone cliffs.
Anyway, we get in the water and it's really fun. You know,
Yeah,
and so I was
very... Yeah, no, this is Turtle Hut. This is Turtle Hut.
Turtles down there, just past where the rocks meet the water.
Really that was really, I think
That
it was
takes
big.
that one. Yeah.
And Olga's like Forrest Gump.
Well, you can
So
In what way?
she slept on the pyramids.
Yeah, I did. But things here.
I've been so worried I'm going to hit one a couple times.
Okay, we've arrived at a place. They said it's an old castor oil plantation. Karpata. Some old buildings, some cactus. Oh, there's Olga up top. Hey, boo. Pretty cool, huh? And it's still relatively authentic. Olga says that's a vada vada. We saw frigates yesterday.
Wonder what the real name is of them. See if I can get that.
Is it black and white?
And then, like maybe you
Sliced
pour,
coral
I don't know what,
flooring.
something over it, and then they polish it down so it's
Terrazzo.
smooth.
Yeah.
My brother and I used to get these fossils in Florida. You know, manatee ribs, manatee bones, or these fossils. They're just so ubiquitous. And I had this idea for him, like, slice those, put them in the floor, because he has.
Where have you taken us?
Karpata.
Uh-huh. I never heard of it. It's an old castor oil factory, but it was pretty developed.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
The lady with Olga is named Jessica, and we met her in the airport at JFK before we got on the flight. And then they connected here, and today she graciously is taking us on a tour around the island. Again, I do nothing.
Alright, so where do I go now? Straight. Left.
Hang on, one second.
I think to the left is where the mountains are.
Going to Fort Smith. Well, this one could
So where do we have now?
That's true.
So I'm thinking right here for the night. So I took the big nice time. And I was like, these are the fucking dumbest talking points of the one. And I was like, no, we didn't. And again, for all the shit you were impressed by with them, they weren't badass enough to talk with you. They weren't badass. She thinks you're badass, man. You swim out the ocean with my shoes. And afterwards, when they I didn't.
It's a flamingo lake. It's got its head underwater.
So they're stirring up the bottom.
Here's a juvenile. Not pink yet, they will be. Marathon runners came from the States, and they did their marathon. And my dad organized the water stations, and everything else. And anybody who felt like they wanted to give it a shot was allowed to join them.
Okay.
That is what happened. I mean, he didn't, but that's sort of what he did. And these guys were pros.
If there's more of this fence, and like partially,
now we come to the town of Rincon. It's an inland town, and the inhabitants are the descendants of the locals who were Indian populations, slaves that were brought from Africa, and the natural interbreeding that happens over the course of centuries. A little later today, we'll go by the salt pans and the salt marshes, and we'll see what the slaves did. We were told that the slaves' families lived here in Rincon and that they walked 7 miles to their work. I can't speak to the conditions, but it was a penal colony where deserters from the army, other prisoners, were right there alongside the slaves. And let's not forget, they were slaves. They weren't there on their own free will. And so, hundreds of years later, we have this beautiful little town, very colorful. The people were friendly, and I wish everyone well. I don't know what or why about our history, but I wish everyone well. A while back, we passed 2 wells that were powered by a windmill, and they said on the placard that the donkeys, they carried the water to the town on donkeys before they had pipes. So the donkeys have had a place in this society for hundreds of years. I bring it up because they say they're invasive and that they should be removed. But as we looked around the island, we saw that the donkeys are very much a part of the scene. Donkey crossing.
Donkey crossing. And I didn't know that when I lived here. I didn't know that when we lived here. I just didn't know.
Maybe I run out and grab a picture of that donkey.
Whatever you need to do. There's a couple of them.
Look at that building, it's kind of scenic.
There's several. There's 3, 4. Very nice. Hey! We saw you!
Now, like you're saying about karma, it's my turn to be the truck driver. You know, what we're doing.
We made it to the north shore. The Cactus. There's raised ground with caves, and Olga says Indian drawings. It's a beautiful island, especially after the rains. See mushrooms growing. Everything looks green and kind of silvery. The air is wonderful, just electric. I got to ride in the back and just be a passenger. Enjoy the show. Everything has spikes on it, but that's a protection level. You know, in any other place, this is.
Mark, there's the what? There it is. Yeah. Right there's a carve out. It's a hole.
There's these little blue-green stones, and I told Olga these are semi-precious. Kind of the color we knew about that stone Larimar that comes from the Caribbean, and it's prized, and it's not quite as bright as that, but it's definitely crystalline and has this blue-green color.
Into a masterpiece, coloring it how I want it to be. Won't stop till I see what I want to see.
This is the one you knew?
I'm picking up books to get inside the heads of the ones who happen to life instead of it happening to them. I wonder if I'll make a difference like that, even if it don't happen fast.
Olga and Jessica took off. They're headed towards the sea. I'm just enjoying the chill vibe, fresh air. Bonaire, that's what it means. Haven't seen another soul or even creatures. I hear the birds. town we came through, Rincon, is in the middle of a caldera. There's an old extinct volcano crater, and so this end of the island got lifted up. But you know what happens when you have those kind of explosive things. So these green and blue stones here, they look like they're half a step away from being turquoise. Finding something there. Looks healthy. What a beautiful face, huh?
We're seeing all the things.
Hi, kids.
Amazing. They blend perfectly with the rocks. You guys are not invasive. You guys are perfect. Okay?
Don't let anyone make
The slave trade was associated with the West Indies Company, a Dutch corporation that basically was given free rein to do whatever they wanted to make money, to prosper, and to compete with the Spanish and the Portuguese primarily. And that's what brought the Dutch here. Now, the slave huts were just a symbol. You can imagine what we have done to each other in the chasing after wealth and fortune and fame and all the other. In the case of Bonaire, there was salt, and so the slaves were brought here to process the salt and loaded on the ships. The ships went to Curacao and then on back to Holland, and it was a trade. They brought slaves from Africa, they took salt back to Europe. The West Indies Company started in 1621 and participated at different levels all the way up until I think slavery was abolished 1863, and the repercussions continue even today. It wasn't just Bonaire, it was all the Caribbean. Suriname was New Holland. New York was New Amsterdam. There is a history here. A wise man said, "We justify everything we do, otherwise we wouldn't do it." So it's not about placing blame or looking at good and bad. It's about moving forward and becoming good human beings. That continues to be the quest.